learning to give voice and expression to the internal atmosphere that stirs deep within us, to name the world around us, to use our voices to bless others and awaken their true selves, to take dominion over that portion of life placed in our care, or to put it in Chanticleer's terms, to grow. Well, that has been the central task of the graduates and those who have called Rivendell College their own. I remember the very first time I was taught to crow and given permission to give it a try. Tinkerbell had been brought back to life by our clapping. Captain Hook had been banished. The children were safe at home, and the musical Peter Pan was at a close, or almost. Kathy Rigby took her bow at center stage in her Peter Pan outfit, and then she flew over the audience and sprinkled all of us with pixie dust, inviting us to crow. And crow we did, 2,000 strong. We poured out into the streets near Hollywood and Vine and stopped traffic for 15 minutes and just crowed. We were so caught up in the wonder and the joy and being in a bigger magical story. Well, today is such a day. Good and done. A page turns, a new chapter begins. But before we take the next step in our own journeys, we need to celebrate the accomplishments of this chapter. We need to crow. If you were to Google BA in spiritual formation, the very fourth entry would be about Rivendell College. Van and Melinda and Stephen Milburn, who graduated in May, are pioneers. Their degrees in spiritual formation and ministry were forged on the frontier of Christian academics. They are among the first, if not the first, undergraduate degrees in this field, but they won't be the last. Established institutions move more slowly and cautiously, but there is a clear movement in this direction. And I suspect that the hard-fought lessons in truth discovered as we set about to establish this new path to the ancient disciplines in soul care and conformity to the image of Christ will be invaluable for those who follow. We also celebrate our two graduate students, Bert and Matthew. Both brought a seasoned maturity with them into the classroom that blessed and enriched the culture of Rivendell. They too sought to further equip their hearts and minds and spirits for God's ongoing calling on their life. It's obvious that He's done exactly that, man. It's been a long year of finishing the course for some. It's been a long year of saying goodbye for others. Fortunately, neither event is at the end of the story. We are nearer to the beginning of things than any of us could possibly guess. As I look around the room, I see deep friendships and relationships that wouldn't exist apart from the intertwining of our lives as we ventured into the moments leading up to this day. It mattered that we came. It mattered that we risked. And it mattered that we stayed. I have 3 observations for our graduates this afternoon, and I believe all of us will find something to apply to our own season of life. First, God is utterly faithful, but notoriously unpredictable. And that can make crowing a complicated and tricky enterprise. Second, you do not have to succeed. You do not have to survive in order to succeed. And that makes crowing all the more important because it helps us find our place in the larger story. And third, there will always be something. There will always be something. Which means that God will see to it that you always have something to crow about. Well, first point. God is utterly faithful, but notoriously unpredictable. You know, when we give voice to what's going on in our internal atmosphere, we don't sound the same note. It is not a repetitive frame. It is rich and varied, and we need to be in touch with a wide range of expression. Graduates, we often have little idea what God is up to. What is happening around us may or may not be about or even because of us. And yet we are called to respond with a full heart to whatever dance the wild lover of our souls invites us. I like the way Oswald Chambers put it. He says, faith is deliberate confidence in the character of God whose ways you may not understand at the time. He's not the only one to notice the wildness of God. Andrew Greeley, the Catholic scholar and author, said, if anyone wishes to eliminate uncertainty, tension, confusion, and disorder from one's life, there is no point in getting mixed up with Yahweh or Jesus of Nazareth. G.K. Chesterton, the newspaperman and pundit and author, said, Christianity got over the difficulty of combining fierce opposites by holding them both and holding them both fiercely. Or, of course, as Mr. Beaver said when asked about Aslan, who said anything about safe? He isn't safe, but he's good. I tell you, he's the king. I think we could get agreement from just about any Old Testament prophet on this matter, that God is utterly faithful but notoriously unpredictable. The author of life is the only one who sees life from the beginning to the end. And he has given us two main assignments in this life. The first is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. But the first is impossible without the second. We have to trust him. We have to believe that his goodness trumps all wickedness and that the mystery of his sovereignty reconciles all outcomes. And that's why we have to stay in touch with our hearts and give voice to what's going on inside. We need to voice our questions and concerns and crow out our complaints, but don't judge God's character by the circumstances that surround you. Judge the circumstances around you by God's character. Our hearts find it easy to attach our expectations, and when expectations aren't met, we can easily lose heart. And losing heart is a terrible thing. The solution is to keep risking your heart with this amazing God. And crowing can help you keep in touch with this wild lover of your soul. But of course, it's more complicated than that, which brings me to my second point.